Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Larry, and this is Dad What's for Dinner, a stay-at-home dad's guide to home cooking. Today's going to be a quick and simple one. We're just making some Thai red chili sauce. You've probably seen them in the international aisle at the food market. Bottle about yay big with an reddish orange label. Not going into any brand names or anything like that. But it's pretty simple and it's pretty quick, so we'll go ahead and do that and we'll get started. So the first thing this recipe calls for is 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. And not that you need to see my knife skills, but I'm going to show you how I prep garlic. This is just fresh from the grocery store. It's always a fun thing to do, to go to the grocery store. That's just a little sarcasm there. So I just kind of guesstimate, with garlic, it's kind of, the recipe says 3 teaspoons, but it's kind of to your taste. But this should get us pretty close to what we're doing here. So what I do, and I just picked this up after watching lots of Food Network, lots of other YouTube videos, just crush it and peel it, get rid of that paper. And then, I don't know if the camera's going to focus, but I always chop off that little woody stem part and discard. And then we just rinse and repeat. Alright, so once you get it all taken care of, I always clean off my cutting board. Get all that waste. And then it says minced garlic, so we're going to go ahead and give these a mince. And I said it before and I'll say it again, I am not a professional chef, and my knife skills would probably get me fired if I were to try to go work as a sous chef someplace. But for what I'm doing, for who it's for, I think I'm doing all right. Anyway, you just keep chopping. This particular technique I actually learned from my mom way back when. She had this thing, God love her, that even her boys needed to learn how to cook. And she taught me that the knife is curved on the bottom for a reason, so that you can chop just like this. Anyway, so you keep dicing it, keeping in mind where this is going to end up. It's going to end up in a sauce, so you don't necessarily want big honking chunks of garlic in your sauce. But when you get it to where you want, that's what you do. We'll go ahead and set that aside and we'll move on to the rest of the recipe. Okay, so we're ready to go ahead and start mixing everything together. First thing we're going to do is make a cornstarch slurry. So you need about a half cup of water and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And then we just want to mix that together. And we'll set that aside. There's some argument, but if you're going to make a slurry, whether or not you should do it first or do it right before you add it, because the cornstarch has a tendency to come out of solution. But, hey. So the next thing we're going to do is just start adding our ingredients. So we have 1 cup of sugar. Our minced garlic from earlier. And then 4 teaspoons of red pepper flake, just crushed red pepper flake. You can add more or less depending on your spice tolerance. A half cup of rice vinegar. And then a teaspoon of salt. And the order doesn't really matter here, but this is just the way we're going. 2 tablespoons of just regular ketchup. 4 teaspoons of sriracha sauce, your favorite brand. And we're going to top that all off with 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. And then follow it up with 2 cups of just regular water. And then we're going to take that over to the stove and bring it to a boil. You want to go ahead and mix that up, kind of get that sugar started dissolving, and then we'll take it over to the stove. Okay, so we bring it over to the stove, light her up, and you want to bring this to a boil, which, just depending on your stove, will take a couple minutes. We'll be back. So it's starting to come up to a boil. You do want to stir this because you could potentially burn the sugar or the ketchup, because the ketchup does have a lot of sugar type things in it that can burn. You just want to give it a couple stirs as it's coming up to a boil. Okay, so once it gets up to a boil, we're going to go get our slurry and just add that slurry and then stir it. And then let that come back up to a boil. And as that's coming back up to a boil, you'll see it to start to thicken, but we want it to come up to a boil before we turn the heat down a little bit here. And you can already see that this is just starting to get a little thick. And that's that cornstarch working. So once it's back up to a boil, we're going to go ahead and turn that heat down a little bit. We'll cook and simmer it just until it gets to your desired thickness. You obviously don't want to make sweet Thai chili pudding, right? But that's also a function of how much slurry you actually put in there. So we'll just cook this and then we'll be back. Okay, so once your sauce gets to your desired level of thickness, just go ahead and turn the heat off and then take it off the heat and allow it to cool completely, and then we'll get to bottling it. So once everything is cooled off completely, we're going to go ahead and bottle this. I just have the same jar that I use, and I clean it out after every time I make more sauce. And I'm just going to pour it in the funnel. Then I'm doing this in the sink just in case I have any messes, so I don't have to get this all over my counter. And then I just fill it up until I have just a little bit of headspace, and it's ready for the fridge. Ta-da! Okay, here we are at the end of another one. I had fun. I hope you all did too. If you liked it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions or thoughts, or you'd like to see something else on the channel, drop me a note down below. See you next time.